Advanced air mobility is a key component in the future of flight and is intrinsic towards the carbon reduction that we need as a world. Now, of course, we've got all these new aircraft coming through, but they face one mighty challenge, and that is certification. And I'm delighted that we're joined now by Lirio Liu, who is the Executive Director of Aircraft Certification for the FAA. Lirio, you've got a real challenge here because you've got so much new things coming through. People are anxious to get things certified, but at the same time, there's safety. How are you managing that huge challenge?
I think we said this in the panel, is that first off, safety and sustainability, they're intertwined. You can't be safe unless you can't be prosperous if you're going to be not safe. So I see that they are intertwined, they're active, and that's our primary goal, to make sure that we're being safe and setting the standards for the future regulations that will be defining this mode of transportation.
Because this must be one of the problems, isn't it, actually writing the regulations, because it is so different.
It is different, but we also have a regulatory framework that's flexible. So we've got a lot of experience, and we have regulations that we can actually pool and adapt and be able to develop what we need so that we can provide a framework for this new mode of transportation. I think that we'll see that it is a timely process, but we are trying to work closely, and I think what's important is we're doing the regulations. We're not doing it in isolation. We need to do it in cooperation with the applicants. But we also are doing it with international coordination, collaboration as a primary goal, because having standards that are different would not actually benefit any of us, and we're trying really hard to get close together so that we can provide the right safety standard.
So are you working with organisations like EASA and the CAA, for example, to get common ground on this?
Yes, that's important. And the common ground, although we want to be harmonized, rules may not always, or they may actually look the same, but they may not be implemented the same. What we really want to look for is transferability and recognize through our international partners the capability that each has and being able to accept that work.
And there must be one big difference, because if we look at certification of aircraft over, let's say, the last 2 or 3 decades, we will be talking of probably a handful of general aviation manufacturers and business jet manufacturers and just a few commercial aircraft manufacturers. You've got new players coming to this that have never built aircraft before. What kind of a challenge is that to you?
That's the challenge in itself. We've had a number of new applicants, and I think just being a new applicant, understanding the certification process and the rigor behind it. But we've had willing participants. I see there's been a lot of learning, good learning, but it is a challenge. Certification of aircraft is deliberate for a reason. We want to make sure that we retain that safety level that we expect if we're going to have operations occurring and transporting with people and passengers. So I think that working together, we have the same goal. We want to be able to continue to expand the industry, but we also want to be able to expand it in a sustainable manner, in a manner that's going to be carbon neutral. So I think that it's an exciting time. It's a learning time for all of us, and we're working as willing partners with the applicants as we both perform our 2 roles. The applicant has to make the showing of compliance, and the FAA makes the finding of compliance. And
finally, I mean, I've talked to civil aviation authorities around the world, and there seems to be one common complaint, and from the authorities, is we don't have enough staff. How are you finding that now? It must be an increase in workload. How are you finding staffing in order to meet these requirements?
Well, it's an exciting time, as you know, so it's nice to see that there's a technical expertise desire across the industry, but we're all competing for resources. I'm sure that the industry themselves are competing for resources. What we do have is a capable staff that's adaptable and learning. It takes a little bit of time on the process, but it's supposed to be diligent as well. But we'll continue to try to build the pipeline. I think that's what's important, and the FAA has a program that starts reaching out to students and the middle school level, because that's the time you need to reach out so that you can actually establish that interest in the STEM activities, the science and the technology and math and engineering. And that's where we'll see, hopefully, the pipeline for the future of the resources we need. But in the meantime, our staff is able to translate the skills that we know as in the traditional aviation to this new segment, and I think we're going to be able to bridge that gap.